Hello and welcome to another video from the Fantasy Legion. Got Sean with me again, and we're
Good to be
continuing
back.
our top 10 list, aren't we? So
Yeah.
quarterbacks this time.
Yeah, we've had a few problems, we'll be honest, trying to record this
I
quarterback
think,
list.
I think we is not fair, to be honest. I think
Me. Me. I've affected the quarterback list.
you are the problem.
Let's leave it there and let's hope that everything runs smoothly. But let's go for it. We haven't conferred our lists, but I know we're going to have some differences somewhere along this list line.
Okay, well, we kind of going through quarterbacks now for the top 10 for the season. There's a tier 1, and that's Mahomes and Jackson. But what order do you have them in and why?
Well, I've got Patrick Mahomes number 1 this year. I think he goes back to his 2018 form. I think it's very difficult to repeat at quarterback. If you look at the last 10 years, in fact, you can go back to 20 years. There just isn't. You don't get repeats at quarterback. It just doesn't happen on a fantasy year-to-year list. It just doesn't happen. You can go back the last 10 years, you won't find one. So it tells you that teams will change the way they operate around a quarterback that's had an exceptional year. Now, these are definitely the 1-2. Doesn't matter what order you like them in. If you like Lamar Jackson 1, I can't argue with you. That's fine. I just think teams adapt, and they will adapt a corral system that Tennessee brought in when they met in the big playoff game last year. And that corral system will be an attempt to keep Lamar Jackson in a pocket, a very loose pocket, but a pocket where he can't move to the sidelines and has to come through the centre of the field will be the aim of the game. This will limit his throws down the sideline and an attempt to limit what he's good at. Will it work? I think Baltimore are too good a team, and their schedule is perfect for them. But it's what teams do. It's what people do to protect their jobs. You have to adapt. You don't want to be the guy that was destroyed by Lamar Jackson. You want to be the guy that, maybe you were on a bad team, but look what we did against Lamar Jackson. Look, we kept him to under 200 yards passing and limited to 30 yards rushing. That can get you a job, at the big level. So you will see changes, and I think Lamar Jackson is slightly affected, but not by much. I mean, I would love to own shares of these guys.
Yeah, I have Mahomes. I think he's a safer bet. He's been there and done it. It looks very hard to stop. With Jackson, I think it's like having another running back, really, because he gets the extra points with his legs. But he also threw a lot of touchdowns, and an absurd percentage of his throws went for touchdowns. I think he threw the ball.
It's a little bit of a misnomer as well. That kind of percentage is
it's quite hard to repeat.
Yeah. You would think it has to come down logically, but that doesn't mean he's not effective at all. I mean,
exactly.
It's not that. We're trying to give you the number 1 in fantasy, and although both, you're going to have to pay a great price for the service. We know that every year in our massive leagues, our big 16-man live leagues, we know that guys like this will go off the board inside the first 3 rounds. That happens every single year. I get it, and I understand why people pay that premium.
You get a quarterback and a running back, so you can see why.
It is very hard to argue. Yeah, and the reason I like Mahomes more, Al, if I can be honest, I want to add this on the video, is I think that he has the perfect coach, system, players around him now. And the one area where they needed the little bit of improvement for him and his game, they've now got with CEH going in there. I just think it's brilliant for him. I love it for him for this year. I'm very excited to see what he can do.
I think I'm right in saying that Lamar Jackson actually threw the ball less than any other quarterback last year as well.
He did. Absolutely.
So, it's pretty amazing what he achieved with what he did with actual throwing.
Very efficient. Yeah,
people, were very dismissive about his throwing abilities, but he seemed to prove all the doubters wrong last year, didn't he?
Hats off to you here, because, we don't talk about this a lot, but you did pick Lamar Jackson out as a good quarterback to target late in drafts last year.
Yeah, so in fact, the first person I mentioned in our
so it's a big tip to you there. Now, previously I'd got Mahomes the same thing 2 years before. Al's done it with Lamar Jackson last year. So those are 2 guys who very quickly come into the league and established at the very top of the tree. So, big credit to him. There are a few others in our league formats who were targeting Lamar Jackson late, and that is a very, very clever on their part. I wanted Lamar, but I didn't get him at the right price. I thought I could sneak him, and I made mistakes. I didn't put him at the right point. That was the mistake. I thought I could get him a fraction later than I really did. And I paid the price for that in a couple of leagues for sure.
Yeah, well, I lost the final when he scored about 30 points but got outscored by Andy Dalton, so I'm not bitter about that at all.
No, very not.
Everyone knows what a good quarterback he is.
And he must be in your top 10 list, Andy Dalton. I'm sure he'll be there.
Okay, number 3. Have you got any list at number 3?
It's been there since January the 1st, as you know. It's Kyler Murray. I haven't changed my mind on him at all. He was on my list at 3 from January the 1st. I mean, we this is before any news about DeAndre Hopkins and everything. I just felt if there was a player you had to name, and I wasn't going to pay third. My idea was that although I had him third on my list at that time, I was hoping I could get him at 7 or 8 or maybe not quarterback 9 value to get that where he's going. Unfortunately, he's now going at 3. That's generally where he's going. So he's really climbed. But I still believe in him, and I think he is going to be a really interesting player to watch. Great offense, great situation, and a dual threat, which is often you can hear a lot of that in this top list.
You might be getting another running back in him as well, but whether he can throw the yards, I've got him at 5.
Good question. Yeah, there's some questions.
That's still a niggling doubt in my mind.
Yeah, the accuracy, we have to see a little bit more improvement, but I did see signs of it. This is why I'm more comfortable. The key is seeing the season's games and watching the last few games and the steps forward to quarterback makes, because everybody's going to look at inaccuracy and use that as a byproduct of the whole season. But it's whether the inaccuracies that were there at the end of the season. And the truth was they weren't there as much. He was much more accurate in those last 5 games. There was a definite trend on the right upward trajectory. And that's why I was thinking, this is exciting. I really see a player here. If you're looking at this year's Lamar Jackson, for me, on January the 1st, it was Kyler Murray. But I'm afraid the cat is out.
The value's going, yeah. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, obviously a big addition to the offense. So I've got number 3. I've got Dak Prescott because I just think we could. Dallas was probably the best offense in football yards wise last year, and to have a piece of that, Dak was a big piece of that. He's another dual threat. He runs it, he throws it. He's got a great supporting cast in Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Blake Jarwin could well have a breakout season. He's got Ezekiel Elliott.
I've got Dak.
He's got the weapons, hasn't he? He's got the weapons. It's a nice offense. So.
I've got Dak at 6, but it's not. I'm not being. You're going to probably say I'm being disrespectful, but I'm not actually, because I totally get the pick at 3, because I think Dak Prescott. If you were picking a quarterback, if I had to say to someone, okay,
I wouldn't pick him there, but that's where I'd sort of value him.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to get his value at 6, but I won't get it at 6.
You might do.
I'd like to. But what I think he can do this year the first question I always ask is that quarterback capable of 5,000 yards? It's a big ask, but he is.
He is.
He is. Is that offense a high octane offense to go along with that? It is. It's balanced. It's a nice
defense
balance.
Rubbish, so we got to throw a lot. It is. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So you look at the factors and you think, oh, absolutely. But I think what Dallas have done brilliantly, if I'm going to be honest here, is say this is. You pick out Blake Jarwin, and absolutely right. You've picked out the wide receivers that can contribute, but CeeDee Lamb can do more than people think. So I think from year 1, this guy could do better than a lot of people are thinking from the get-go. He is an exceptional. It's not a surprise. A lot of people liked him as a rookie, but I think they're a little bit put off with the landing spot. I wouldn't have been. I just think he could be a player ready to go from the moment the NFL season starts. If there's one player, I think
he's going to get at least Randall Cobb numbers, isn't he?
Yeah, I think if there's a player that I had to highlight that could, from the moment the NFL season starts, just take off, I think it's him. I'd be very interested to see how he does from the moment it starts. He's very interesting. And he's in an offense where he could carve out quite a nice role.
Well, we haven't even mentioned Tony Pollard yet, so I know a few of our watchers like him. So.
Well, certainly capable. If anything happens to Zeke, he's more than capable of stepping in.
Okay, so I've got Dak at 4. I've got Russell Wilson at 4, Dak at 3. Russell Wilson at 4. Yeah. I think he's just consistent. He does it every year. Yeah. He's probably worth QB4. It's close between him, Kyler Murray, and Deshaun Watson, I think.
Yeah, I've got...
And Dak, to be fair. They're like tier 2 for me.
I've got Russell at 5 and I've got Deshaun Watson at 4. And the only reason I have Deshaun Watson at 4 and Russell Wilson, I just think, although I've got huge concerns over health with Deshaun Watson, and the fact that they're trying to kill him as a team and organisation, they seem like they're hell-bent on destroying his career. He's going to, when he plays, he's going to be, he's going to find ways to get yards, whether it's on the ground, whether it's through the air. He's just so cavalier. It's so really great player to watch. I mean, and so exciting. I mean, he's had some big injuries, and yet he still goes out there and just plays as if nothing's wrong. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for him. I just worry the team has done nothing to help him. But Out of all the quarterbacks,
They've had a strange. I mean, putting it politely, they've had a strange off season. Putting
they've
it
had an
bluntly, they've had a terrible, awful,
appalling.
mind-boggling off season. The
If
Texans.
you're a Texans fan, it seems like you're set to to tank. And the thing is, often when you have a team that tanks,
I don't think they are. I think that you look at the players. I mean, they've invested a lot in David Johnson. I mean, he will add to Deshaun Watson's thing because he's miles better than Carlos Hyde.
Without doubt.
They've got Brandon Cooks, who's pretty decent.
Oh, he's very. I like Cooks. I think he's again perennially underrated.
He didn't have a great last year, but before that, they've still got Kenny Stills. They've got Randall Cobb. I mean, it's upsetting. I mean, it's upsetting. Yeah. Really. You take DeAndre Hopkins and you add Brandon Cooks. So different players.
Yeah. Well, look, let's be honest. I mean, look, the thing is when you have a team that is likely to be, let's be honest, struggle. They're going to be a team that's going to struggle. They're going to be behind in games. Deshaun Watson is going to benefit. He's going to be throwing all day long. There's going to be opportunities for him. So I think he's got a chance. He's also a bit of a risk, and you have to factor that in. And at what price will you pay?
The price is kind of factored in. He was going like QB 2 or 3 last year. Now he's going probably 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think he falls a little bit, and I think you can get value on it because I think. I can see why people take Russell Wilson ahead of him, and that's okay. I think it's it's whoever you like at that certain point.
Yeah, so Prescott, Wilson, Murray, and Watson would be tier 2 for me, with Mahomes and Jackson at tier 1. So
I don't think we've got 3 there. Yeah. I've got Brady. Yeah, big surprise probably for a lot of people. I put Brady here at 7. The reason I put Brady,
I don't think he's going around this price between 7 and.
Well, 10. I think the team, they had Jameis Winston in, and look what kind of year he had. Brady is capable of delivering, I think 4,500 yards in the air is realistic, and it's just a question of working out where this goes. I think he's a much more. I think there are issues. We've touched on those in the wide receiver list who benefits from Brady being there, but the tools are all there.
He's got two great receivers, hasn't he? I mean,
yeah. He's a savvy quarterback.
He's got Gronk as well. I mean, he's got Gronk as well. He's got a new receiving back as well to help. In Keyshawn Vaughn. So
it's the last hurrah. It's the last throw of the dice for me. But for a final year or so, Brady still should be deemed roughly here. You probably can get him slightly later, as other names will probably go slightly ahead of him, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I've got Brady at 9, so Brady's
and that's 9. Okay. Yeah, it's great. And we know
actually,
now.
I've got a surprising one. It's not surprising, but Matt Ryan. He's another underappreciated guy. And look, he's got Calvin Ridley, he's got Julio, he's got Hayden Hurst. Who
I've got Matt Ryan. I mean, it's really difficult, right? Because I love Matt Ryan, but there are names. You see, the thing is. I think Matt Ryan, you could go from quarterback, for me, you could go from about quarterback, I'm not going to put the top 6 in this list, but from Brady up to about 12 or 13, very interchangeable.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Matt Ryan at 11, but again, there are situations, depending on where I'm drafting, Matt Ryan could easily move ahead of these guys here. He could move ahead of Brady because the value might be so good, you think, I'll have that. And I don't want to take a quarterback early. So, Brady.
Yeah, so a lot of the times it's whoever's left when you want to pick a guys.
Absolutely.
So, and sometimes, got at 8
then? Well, it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I've got him at 10. I can't dismiss Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder. He's probably absolutely, rightly, royally annoyed with the organisation, to put it bluntly.
Want to prove a point.
He's going to prove a massive point to man. And let's be honest, a rattled Rodgers is a dangerous man indeed. So he plays. You see, to me, he's like a sleeping giant. If you
might
leave the
even
bear
get him later than it, you'll get him later than this.
Well, if you leave the bear alone, right? Because I think that's where he's going to end up playing next year. If you leave the bear alone, I think he's okay. If you rattle him, he's a very dangerous opponent. And if you get him. You put him in a situation when there's 2 minutes on the clock. There's not many quarterbacks you wouldn't want ahead of him. He's so good at finishing a game off. Aaron Rodgers is still dangerous, and probably more so this year. So I like his value. And you're right. I can probably wait on him, but I have him in my top 10 list because he's a player I'm waiting.
My top 10 as well.
He's a player I am.
Surprised you've got him above Josh Allen, who hasn't appeared. He's my number 8. He's not appeared. You're a fan of his.
Yeah. He's not in my top 10 list, and the reason is that
I like him.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
But now you're paying the price.
But but you see, you're paying the price. But also from 7 through, so say about 14, he's in the top 14 list. It's just that depending on who's there, I'm happy to have him. Like if he's there at a certain point, Brady's gone, Aaron Rodgers gone. I've no problem with that. Josh Allen, I'll take Josh Allen, no problem. You know, he's great. He's just there isn't enough room to fit them all in, and it's tough. It's a really tough list. There's some bloody good quarterbacks.
No, I've got Brady and Rodgers filling out my top 10 after Matt Ryan. So who have you got that you haven't mentioned yet?
Drew Brees at 9.
Oh, I had him at 11.
Yeah, like Drew Brees again, high octane offense, very easy to talk about. Easy 5,000 yards again could be on the cards.
And Emmanuel Sanders, though,
Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah, Kamara back to full health. Great clutch kicker and Will Lutz. There's a lot to like here. Good offense. I just think for one more year, Drew Brees. Again, you could get him. Maybe you get him later, 13 or 14. I'm happy getting him there. That's great. But I just love his opportunity for this year. Why not? And then finally at 10, I've got a guy that's not probably on your list.
We probably have because I've mentioned my list, and if it's not him, it's not been
Daniel Jones. You do not need to pay.
I've got him at 12, I think.
You do not need to pay top 10 value for him, but I mention him because I'm massively high on him. I'm saying it now. I've been sneaking him on since last year. We're the podcast that said, hold on, Giants fans, don't give up. Yeah, wait and see, because you let's see what you can do. A potential dual threat quarterback, not talking about it much, much more accurate than people give him credit for, very savvy in the pocket, a lot to like. With a healthy Saquon Barkley, this will help him again take another step forward. I'm very comfortable with him. Again, interchangeable. Happy if he's there at 14. Happy to take a share of him because I think he can exceed his numbers.
And they got a few nice receivers now. I mean,
yeah. And what it tells you is this list tells you there are a lot of quarterbacks. So if you're in a small league, you can get a good quarterback easily in the top 10. If you're a 12-team league, you can get a top 12 quarterback generally quite easy. 14-team, probably get a 14. 16 just starts to get dicey. But 14 or so, quite easy. You can get somebody good that you feel at least you can anchor the team.
Waiting as well.
Yeah, and maybe you play the game you're good at here, which is you get a second and you play the schedule game. And I'm very interested to see more on your schedule stuff as that gets nearer the season.
I've got another sleeper quarterback. There's two I really like late, but they're not in the top 10 that I'll be targeting.
Yeah, I've got a few guys I will target later myself that I will mix and match, shall we say, that I want to mix and match with to get the best out of them.
Okay, well, there's our top 10. Who's in your top 10, and do you disagree with what we said, or do you agree with it? Why is Matt Ryan not in Sean's top 10? He hasn't got Calvin Ridley in it either. He's really, he's got Todd Gurley added to that now as well. Receiving threat.
Yeah.
You love him?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, he's a hospital threat as well. He's a good player. He's a great player.
All right,
he'll hold up.
Enjoyed the video. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe for more. We'll give you more details about these we'll be doing our sort of sleeper quarterbacks later in the year. Sleeper everything, really. And
absolutely.
Players we like at their values. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe for more, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Take care.